Oh.
Right. We did ours on the ancient Babylon.
I am Pat Maloney.
I'm Connor Brandes. The ancient Babylon that we are covering mainly is between 5200 BC and around 7 to 600 BC, where the ziggurats and the Hanging Gardens were built in ancient Babylon. Not many wonders were built on the scale for the architectural design or wonder of the ziggurats and the Hanging Gardens. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were built in 700 to 600 BC. They weren't actually built in Babylon, they're actually built in the city of Ravenna, which is actually 300 miles from Babylon. The ancient wonders of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, one of which is actually the only one that might not actually exist due to the lack of physical evidence of them existing. They were said to be between 800 to 320 feet tall, which is massive considering that it's only built from mud brick, baked brick, and stone, and of course dirt, so that the plants in which can grow. They were said to have the water flow in through aqueducts and canals, many of which would have the water go underneath it and be raised up through a system of chain pulleys, which would bring buckets up, and screw wells, which will turn the water and pull it up slowly. Both of which were very ingenious of the time, because it's very hard to bring thousands of gallons of water up each day. Hanging Gardens graded the relation of the king to the people. This massive wonder brought prosperity, life, and ingenuity to the people of Ravenna and actually the entire nation of Babylon. It gave them hope that they could accomplish anything. When you looked at Ravenna, it was a arid desert land, but in the center of the city, there'd be this massive architectural wonder of life and just prosperity coming out of it. It was actually built for the king's wife, whom was homesick at the time. He did this to, one, make her happy, but to make the entire city happy. It'd be kind of terrible just living there and not having any foliage or anything around.
So also at the time, during the ancient Babylonian time, another big monumentals that were established were the ziggurats. So beginning about 5200 BC, the first ziggurat was built. It was believed to resemble an early ziggurat that was built about in 4100 BC. The ziggurat was built to resemble the Eridu ziggurat, which was built about 1,000 years earlier. The reason why these ziggurats were built was for the people to get as close as possible to their gods. Specifically, the reasons why the ziggurats were built. The ziggurat was built is for King Ur-Nammu. He wanted this to be the biggest ziggurat ever built in the ancient Babylonian time, but his plan was to make it the highest and the largest one, but unfortunately he died before the ziggurat was completed. The ziggurat is located in present-day Iraq, but during this time it was located in 6th century BC in Neo-Babylonian time. And the ziggurat is made of, kind of like the Hanging Gardens, it's made of mud, brick covered with, laid with bitumen, and this bitumen is kind of like a naturally occurring tar which holds together the clay bricks. And each brick weighs about 33 pounds. And the kind of the diameter of the ziggurat is 210 by 100 feet, and it's construction with 3 levels of terraces, and they're standing originally from about 70 to 100 feet tall. The ziggurat in relation to the king. The main idea of these ziggurats were to build was kind of like I said, to show the power to the king at the time, and by getting closer, higher up to the gods, made it easier for them, they thought, to worship them. So the ziggurat was dedicated to the Akkadian moon god, which is the god of sin. There's the reasons why the ziggurats were built is for, like I said, for them to get close as possible to their gods. They believed that by being closer it was easier to connect with them. Another thing that these ziggurats were capable of, they were tombs and burial places for kings and powerful rulers at the time underneath the structures. Okay. So kind of comparison between the kings and the great wonders is the relationship between the hanging gardens and the ziggurats were to show the power amongst the kings at the current time.
The hanging gardens were mainly used to show prosperity and life throughout the nation, that they could create something so beautiful and so large in such a arid desert wasteland that they could accomplish mainly anything. It would brought about more faith in the king.
So, why the ziggurats were a symbol of religious belief. By building the ziggurats, they were acted as a place of worship in the eyes of the people. They were becoming closer to their God, becoming more religious, intact with who they are worshiping.
Even though the kings were separated by over 400 years, their monuments, well, mainly the ziggurats, since the hanging garden deteriorated over time, actually brought about a lot of change throughout the eras. They lasted well into the 80s, I guess, but they left a massive impact on the modern world. How they were designed, the architectural maintenance and engineering were used on many other things further on. They furthered Babylon's progress, and they were just, they helped the city.
In conclusion, kind of to give you an idea where the ziggurats and the hanging gardens are at. The ziggurat, typical ziggurat you are, is located in Iraq, and it's near at the United States Ali Air Base. So soldiers take frequent tours of this monument and kind of see what it was all about.
Sadly, we can't actually visit the hanging gardens anymore, since it was comprised of mainly trees and other foliage. It deteriorated the mud brick, the stone, through the dirt, probably through erosion, of course. But that being the cause, there's not much left of it, or any, for a fact. We're not positive on where it's actually based. We're fairly confident it's actually based in Nevada, but since there's actually no physical evidence, there's only textual evidence of it being actually present there, we can't say for certain. But sadly, it's one of the only 7 wonders that we're not sure that it existed. Any questions?